Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. I'm Mary, the SEO manager of Wow Visible. Today's topic is crucial for anyone with an online presence recovering from algorithm penalties. So whether you have friends or someone you know that that owns a business or just want to learn about SEO, then this is a good time to share our live webinar for them to learn also on how to recover the algorithm from algorithm penalties. So today we'll be discussing on how to navigate the storm. So algorithm penalties are like storms coming through website owners because they could potentially hit your website and you might fall down. So the world of online visibility is very dynamic. Dynamic meaning it is ever changing. Search engine algorithms are the gatekeepers. When your website faces a penalty, it can feel like a significant setback, impacting your traffic, rankings, and ultimately your revenue. But you don't need to suffer any further. Recovery is absolutely possible. Over the next few minutes, our goal is to equip you with a clear understanding of what these penalties are, how to diagnose them, the steps involved in recovery, and most importantly, how to prevent them in the future. But before we dive in, I am just curious, has anyone here ever experienced a significant drop in their website traffic or in the websites they have checked or worked on before that they suspected it might be a penalty? Feel free to type a quick yes or no in the comment section. Mark type yes. How about our other viewers? Okay, it looks like some of you have, and for those who haven't, lucky you. Understanding this is crucial for future proofing your online success. So if you haven't experienced yet, then you have to learn this for future proofing as I've mentioned earlier. But first, before we discuss on how to recover from an algorithm penalty, we have to learn what is an algorithm penalty and how do we know that our website is getting penalized. How search engines rank your website. This isn't a personal vendetta. It's usually an automated response to perceived issues with your site's quality or adherence to their guidelines. You'll typically see this manifest in a few key ways. So, here, a sudden and often steep decline in where your pages rank for relevant keywords. You can also see a significant drop in the amount of organic traffic coming to your site, and in severe cases, even the removal or de indexing of some or all of your pages from the search results. It is crucial to understand that these are often triggered by the algorithm itself, identifying patterns or signals that violate its standards. Now, here's the deal. How do we deal with it? This is why we develop this webinar for you. So by the end of this session, you'll have a solid grasp of the following. We will differentiate between manual and algorithmic penalties and explore the common causes why they occur. And you'll also learn how to conduct a thorough examination of your website to pinpoint the underlying issues through website audit. We'll also discuss how to develop a step-by-step plan tailored to your situation through a strategic recovery plan. You'll also gain practical knowledge of the actions you must take to address the penalty. And we'll cover the importance of keeping records and communicating with search engines if necessary through documentation and communication. Finally, we'll discuss how to track your progress and implement best practices to avoid future penalties. So just a heads up guys, I have a surprise for you at the end of this webinar, so stay tuned. Now let's understand algorithm penalties. So there are two types. It's important to distinguish between manual and algorithmic penalties. So manual, these are direct actions taken by a real person. That's why it's called manual. They usually occur when there's a clear and direct violation of the webmaster guidelines. But here's some good news for the manual penalty. You'll typically receive a notification, so you'll be notified so you know that you have a penalty. You can receive a notification about this directly in your Google Search Console or similar platform. The other type is the algorithmic. These are more common and less direct. They happen when an update to the search algorithm identifies that your website no longer meets other quality standards. Often, there's no specific notification. You'll just observe a decline in your website's performance. Think of manual as a direct intervention, while algorithmic is more like a change in the game's rules that your site no longer plays well. Now let's talk about the common causes. So there are different causes of algorithmic penalty. It could fall in your content, keywords, links, user experience, technical, and platform guidelines. So let's discuss each one of them. Content is the foundation of your online presence, and low quality content is a major red flag for search engines. This includes things like thin content, pages with very little text or substance. That's called thin content. There's also duplicate content that appears on multiple pages of your site or is copied from elsewhere. Automatically generated content that lacks real value, irrelevant content that doesn't match the topic of your site, and outdated information that no longer serves users. So, crucially, content that doesn't actually answer the user's query or fulfill their intent is also considered low quality. Imagine the difference between a shallow article and a comprehensive, helpful guide. So, while browsing online, have you found or come up with a low quality content? Type yes or no in the comment section. Okay, a lot of you have found with today's internet access, there are a lot of fake news, a lot of content with no real value. So thank you for participating. Thank you guys. Thank you, Krista, Rufia, Shaina, and the rest of you. Thank you so much. Yes, that's indeed true with today's world. So that's why it's very common for websites nowadays to get penalized whenever there are updates because of low quality content. Now let's talk about another common cause, which is the keyword. So keywords. While keywords are important for SEO, overdoing it can lead to penalties. Search engines are sophisticated enough to detect unnatural keyword usage. Examples include stuffing keywords repeatedly into paragraphs that don't flow naturally, using an excessive number of exact match keywords in a way that sounds robotic, and even hiding text containing keywords, often by making the text the same color as the background. So we have looked into a website that does things like this. So they have a lot of keywords in their website, but it cannot be seen in the human eye because the color is the same as the background. So if you think you have tricked the human eye, you cannot trick the search engine. Okay, can anyone give me an example of stuffing keywords that sound off and unnatural? Please comment down below. So I have here an example: best coffee beans, best price, best quality coffee beans online. So how about you guys? Feel free to share. Wow, from Jed, the repetition of cheap or cheapest in showing they're describing their products. And from Justin, we sell cheap shoes. Our cheap shoes are the best cheap shoes. Buy cheap shoes now for the best cheap shoes deal. Yes, indeed. It sounds unnatural and it sounds off, right? So how about this? The example that I have provided. Best coffee beans, best price, best quality coffee beans online. How do you change it? Anyone, please comment below. How do you change this to make it look natural? Wow, Mark has a lot of example about dentistry. Okay, so for this one in my screen, best coffee beans, best price, best quality coffee beans online, we can change it with a call to action, and to make it look natural, we can change it into find the best quality coffee beans online at the best price. Okay, now let's talk about links because it's also one of the major causes of getting penalized. Links. Building links to your website is important. So, of course, every SEO specialist knows that, and even webmasters and website owners. But doing it artificially to manipulate rankings is a serious violation. So, that's a serious violation. This includes buying large quantities of low quality backlinks from shady websites, participating in link farms or private blog networks, PBNs, designed solely for link building. Another one is engaging in excessive reciprocal linking schemes and submitting your site to numerous low quality or spammy directories. Think of these as shortcuts that can ultimately lead to a dead end. This one can be tricky. Has anyone ever received a suspicious looking email offering to boost your rankings with backlinks? A quick me too in the comment section if you have encountered this. Yes, from Justin, me too. So indeed, Justin has received an email with a suspicious, a suspicious looking email offering to boost rankings. Yes, yes, and me too. I've also received a lot of emails offering to boost rankings with backlinks. So thank you, Jesse, Mark, Joy, Shaina. Okay, so these are often the types of links that can lead to trouble. But I'm not gonna dig deeper into this, the backlinks, because on our next webinar, by end of May, we'll have another webinar, and the speaker will talk about getting penalized with because of links. So he'll be the one to discuss deeper, dig deeper into this topic. Now let's proceed with user experience. So user experience is another one of the causes for getting penalized by search engine. Search engines want to send their users to websites that provide a positive experience. Of course, key indicators of poor UX include a high bounce rate. So, do you know what high bounce rate is? High bounce rate is people visiting your website and just leave it. Upon looking at the site, they leave right away. So they don't get time. They don't have the time to read, or they don't stay longer in the website. Another cause of this is another indicators of poor UX is slow loading times that frustrate visitors. Of course, if the page fails to load, of the patience of the people nowadays, we have shorter patience, so we leave right away if it does not load right away. And then a website that doesn't work well on mobile devices, because most of us use mobile. So indicator of poor user experience is a website that does not work on mobile devices. And then intrusive ads or pop-ups that disrupt the user experience, and a confusing or difficult navigation that makes it hard for users to find what they need. So as you can see, a happy user, or based on your experience, a happy user is a signal of a healthy website. Now, another common cause is technical. Technical issues can prevent search engines from properly accessing and understanding your website. These include scroll errors, which prevent search engine bots from accessing specific pages, broken internal and external links that lead to dead ends, problems with your robots.txt file that might block important pages, issues with your sitemap XML file that helps search engines discover your content, and a poorly organized site structure that makes it difficult for both users and search engines to navigate. So think of this as roadblocks for search engine crawlers. Another one is, last but certainly not the least, and you should not ignore this one, platform guidelines. EEAT. Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. For certain types of content, so there are certain types of content, especially those that could impact a person's health, finances, or safety. This is often referred to as your money or your life. So these are called YMYL topics. Google places a strong emphasis on EEAT on these types of content. So if you have a website, if you're handling a website with this type of content, please make sure that EEAT guidelines are being followed. A lack of clear author biographies that demonstrate the writer's qualifications, a lack of citations or links to credible sources, not showcasing the websites or author's relevant experience in the topic, and a general lack of transparency or trust signals can also contribute to penalties, especially in these sensitive areas. So if you're a content writer, for these topics, YMYL topics, please make sure that the biographies are written right. So the qualifications, the citations, the sources, please make sure that it is written well. Not only for these YMYL topics, for the rest of the content, but especially for this one. You shouldn't miss EEAT, because it is about building confidence with both users and search engines. Now we are done with the common causes. Let's identify a penalty. So, the most obvious sign that you might have been hit by a penalty is a sudden and significant drop in your organic traffic, of course. You might also observe a general decline in your keyword rankings across many of the terms you use to perform well. Now let's find out how to recover if you've been hit by a penalty. Here's the recovery process. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. So this is a step-by-step guide. First is identification and diagnosis through audit and data. Next is develop a recovery plan. So that's a strategic recovery plan that we'll be discussing later on. Corrective actions like content, links, user experience, technical, platform guidelines, and then documentation and communication through a detailed log and monitoring and patience of performance and re-evaluation. So let's discuss each one of them. So let's start with step 1, identification and diagnosis. The first and most critical step is to conduct a thorough audit of your entire website to pinpoint the likely cause or causes of the penalty, thus the content audit. This involves reviewing all your content to assess its quality, uniqueness, relevance to your audience, and accuracy. Identify any thin, duplicate, or outdated content, and consider if your content truly addresses what your users are searching for. Next is the link audit. Analyze your backlink profile using SEO tools to identify any spammy, low quality, or unnatural links that could be harming your site's reputation. Next is technical audit. Check for crawl errors reported in Search Console, broken internal and external links, site speed issues using tools like Page Speed Insights, mobile friendliness using Google's mobile friendly test, and ensure your important pages are being properly indexed. And the last is user performance audit. Analyze your bounce rates and time on page in Google Analytics to understand user engagement. Assess the overall usability and navigation of your website. Is it easy for users to find what they need? So you have to ask yourself, is it easy for users to find what they need into the website or into the website that you're working on? So then take action based on your answer of that question. So each of these areas needs careful examination. So when you think about auditing your website, it can feel overwhelming. So there are a lot of things to audit: the content, the link, the technical, the user experience. So what's the first area you think you would focus on? Is it the content, the links, the technical aspects, or user experience? Just type your priority in the chat. Okay, it would be content, links, technical, user experience. So which one would you focus on? Earlier, Miss Joy commented, "How about an email with the subject you won dollars with link? Do not click those links or any links attached to that email." Darlene, all of them. Wow. Darlene must have a lot of people working for her because she can work all of them at the same time. All of the above. Mark is content. Okay, so it's interesting to see the different priorities. So some may prioritize content, just like Jesse and Mark, and then for Justin and Darlene, they can do all of them at the same time. Good for you guys. Okay, so there are a lot of different priorities. UX on top for me, yes, Shina, and then Miss Grace technical. So Miss Grace is asking if it's technical. So, anyways, we will cover later on how they all fit together. So, we will discuss of that. Okay. Another one for the identification and diagnosis for the step 1 is data, because that's audit and data. So, the data within your analytics platform is invaluable for diagnosing a penalty. Google Analytics For Google Analytics, look for the exact date. So they have dates provided there when your organic traffic started to decline. Analyze changes in user behavior metrics like bounce rate and time on page for your organic traffic. See if specific landing pages experienced a more significant drop than others. Because if a specific landing page experienced a more significant drop, then the problem might be on that landing page. So you have to see, you have to check the data. And then for Google Search Console, correlate the traffic drops with any drops in impressions and clicks for specific keywords in the performance reports. So you can see that in the performance reports. And the coverage report will highlight any indexing issues. And in the experience reports, it will show if you have problems with mobile usability or page speed that might be contributing to a negative algorithmic assessment. And of course, the manual actions report is where you'll find notifications of any direct penalties. So these are your primary investigative tools, the Google Analytics and the Google Search Console. But you can't investigate using Google Analytics and Google Search Console if it is not set up properly in your website. So the setup must be done before anything else. Okay. Step 2 is the recovery process. So you have to develop a recovery plan. So once you have a good understanding of the issues, you've done the audit, you've gathered the data, it's time to create a strategic recovery plan. First is prioritize. So as I've asked earlier, which one will you focus on? So focus on the most severe issues first. For example, a manual action needs immediate attention. Significant content problems or large number of toxic backlinks should also be high on the list. So it depends on the current situation. If the severe issue is on the content, then focus on fixing that first. If the most severe issue is on the backlinks, then focus on that first. Then another next is be specific. Outline the exact steps you will take to address each identified problem. You must outline the exact steps. For example, instead of just saying improve content, you have to specify update and expand the top 10 underperforming blog posts by. So you have to gather the right data. That's why website audit and the data comes first. And then set timelines. Assign realistic deadlines for each task. This will help you stay organized and track your progress. So, as I've mentioned, realistic deadlines. If you have 100 blog posts that needs fixing or updating, then you cannot finish that in just one day. So you have to be very realistic with your deadlines. And then assign responsibilities. So this is completely optional because if you're a one-man person, then you have to assign all the responsibilities to yourself. But if you have a team, clearly define who is responsible for carrying out each action. So this plan is your roadmap back to recovery. Step 3 is corrective action. So we have to correct what the errors or the issues. So first, if it's in the content, often addressing content issues is the most time consuming but also the most impactful part of the recovery process. Yes, indeed, it's very time consuming, especially if you need to update all the content of each page. But this will help address the issue or the penalty of your website. You have to improve low quality content. Don't just delete thin content, especially if they're already indexed. If they have been ranking before, don't just delete thin content, or if they are important to your page, try to update it, expand it with more valuable information, or rewrite it entirely to make it comprehensive and engaging. Consider consolidating similar articles into one strong piece. So what I mean is, instead of writing five 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 articles which is not that valuable, the content is not that valuable, then consider consolidating them into one, and then address duplicate. For content that appears in multiple places, use canonical tags to tell search engines which version is the original. For less important duplicate pages, you might consider using the no index tag to prevent them from being indexed. Another one for the content is refine keywords. Ensure your keywords are integrated naturally within your content. Avoid simply listing keywords or repeating them excessively. Just like what we have discussed earlier with the keywords. So you have to focus on writing for humans first. And lastly, for content, focus on user intent. Make sure your content directly answers the questions your target audience is asking and provides the information or solutions they are looking for. So you have to keep your target audience in mind when writing content. So you have to put yourself in the audience shoe. If you are an audience, what would you get from this content? Will you learn something? Does this answer the your question? So you have to think that way. So for the corrective actions on the content, think of this as giving your audience the high quality information they deserve. So another corrective actions falls on links. Cleaning up a toxic backlink profile is crucial for recovery and certain types of penalties. So for link audit, use SEO tools to identify potentially harmful backlinks, those from low authority sites, spammy directories, foreign language sites irrelevant to your niche, or sites known for link selling. Then attempt removal. Try to contact the owners of these referring websites and politely request that they remove the links. Remember to keep a record of your outreach efforts. So you have to keep a record of which website you conducted the reach out. And then the last is disavow tool. Please do this with extreme caution. If you can't get the links removed, Google's disavow links tool allows you to tell Google not to consider these specific backlinks when evaluating your site. However, use this tool with extreme caution, as using it incorrectly can harm your rankings further. Only disavow links you are certain are harmful. Remember that. Only disavow links you are certain are harmful. So use the disavow tool with extreme caution. This is about pruning the unhealthy parts of your link profile. It's like planting. You're going to remove the unhealthy leaf, diba? The unhealthy leaves, you have to remove them. So dealing with bad backlinks can be frustrating. Link builders can relate to that. Has anyone ever tried to get a spammy link removed? What was your experience like? A brief comment in the chat would be great, guys. So, have you dealt with this bad backlinks and you want it removed? Please feel free to comment. Darlene said yes. So was it hard to get it removed? Dar, did you contact the webmaster to have it removed? Mark, yes, miss. Yes po, miss. Wow, what's the step that you did, Mark? Did you contact the webmaster or just have it submitted in disavow tool? Ah, Casey, yes, and disavowed it by submitting it via Google disavow tool. Yes. So that's why there's a disavow tool, because sometimes it is necessary to use that tool. But as I've mentioned earlier, use it with extreme caution. Thank you so much for the engagement. Now, another corrective action for the step three is user experience. Improving user experience, I can. Okay, Mark, that's why if I use the disavow tool. Improving user experience not only helps with potential penalties, but also benefits your overall SEO and conversion rates. So, first, you have to improve site speed. Optimize your images. So that's why image compression is necessary. And then leverage browser caching and consider using a content delivery network, so CDN, to speed up loading times. Another corrective action under user experience is enhance mobile responsiveness. So ensure your website adapts seamlessly to different screen sizes. So there are different screen sizes: tablets, laptops, desktop, mobile. Use Google's mobile friendly test to identify and fix any issues. Another one is reduce bounce rate. Improve the relevance and quality of your content. Use internal linking to encourage users to explore more of your site and ensure your page layout is clear and engaging. We have discussed bounce rate earlier, so there's no interaction being done when a user visit your site and they just leave right away. So it results to high bounce rate. So you have to reduce bounce rate using internal linking so that they can visit another pages of your site with interaction. But you have to make sure that the page layout is clear and engaging. If not, your users will just leave right away and won't click your links. Another one is simplifying navigation. Make it easy for users to find what they are looking for with clear menus and logical site architecture. So if you are selling, then you have to have the product page or category pages for them for easier navigation. And if you are offering a service, you have it under a category pages so that you can also, it's easier for users or for customers to find what they're looking for in your website. And then last is minimize intrusive interstitials. So do you know what's interstitials, guys? What do you mean by minimizing intrusive interstitials? Comment down. So this word is not really used, commonly used, the intrusive interstitials. No, we're more unfamiliar with superstitial. Okay, so intrusive interstitials. So minimize intrusive interstitials means avoid disruptive pop-ups or ads that cover the main content and annoy users. So avoid this. If you are a website owner, avoid this. If you create pages or if you are on-site expert, so avoid disruptive pop-ups or ads that could cover the main yes, right, Dar, pop-ups or overlays. Yes, thank you, Dar. Because remember, a positive user experience is a win-win. So it's a win for you and a win for the user if they have a positive experience with your website. Another corrective action is technical. So, ensuring your website is technically sound is fundamental for search engine visibility. First is you have to fix scroll errors. Address any errors reported in the coverage report. As I've mentioned earlier, in the coverage report of your Google Search Console, the crawl errors are there. These prevent Google from indexing your pages. So if the pages are not being crawled, there's an error, so it will not be indexed. So that people cannot find them when they search in the search engine. So you have to fix crawl errors and then repair broken links. Regularly check for and fix both internal links that point to non-existent pages on your site and external links that lead to broken pages on other websites. So fixing of broken links does not involve only the internal links that you have, but also the external links. Of course, you cannot control if an external link leads to a broken page, but you can control if you want that link attached to your site. So you can remove the external link and replace it with a relevant external link if you want. And the next is optimize robots.txt and sitemap XML files. Make sure your robots.txt file isn't accidentally blocking important pages, because we have experienced like this before. A website owner asked for our help, and she doesn't know why a page is not being indexed. But when we check the robots.txt file, it it says disallow the certain page. It disallows the page that she wants indexed. So it's really important that you check it. And you must also make sure that your sitemap XML file is up to date and accurately lists all your indexable content. Next is improve site structure for technical corrective actions. Organize your content in a logical hierarchy. So it's not just the family that has hierarchy, but also the content. It makes it easy for both users and search engine crawlers to understand the relationship between different pages. So for example, if you have this category and that under that category falls another pages, so it's make sure that it is organized well. Remember, think of these as ensuring your website speaks the language search engines understand. So, what do you mean by the language search engine understand? In layman's term, the search engine must understand your pages, what your page is about, and the relationship on those pages to another set of pages that you have in your website. So, next is another corrective action platform guidelines, EEAT. Building trust and authority is especially important for YMYL topics. So remember YMYL topics here. Comment guys if you remember what YMYL stands for. You forgot already? YMYL. Yes. What is YMYL? Yes, very good, Rufia. Your money or your life. And also Chrisabel. YMYL stands for your money or your life, about health, finances, those type of content. That's YMYL. So, yes, Mark, Mitch, Darling EEAT. We'll talk about that later, Dar. Okay. So as I've mentioned already earlier, clearly identify authors for these, especially for these contents. Provide detailed author biographies that highlight their relevant experience, expertise, and credentials. You can also link to their social media profiles or other relevant online presence. So if you're a content writer, please do that now. And then cite, not now, after this webinar, you can do that. Okay, and then cite credible sources. Back up any factual claims with links to reputable and authoritative sources, especially that edus.gov. So you need to back up sources from those sites. And then showcase experience. Highlight the author's or website's direct experience with a topic being discussed. So, for example, if it's about health and the writer is a doctor, so you have to highlight that experience. This could be through case studies, testimonials, or detailed explanations of processes. Last is ensure accuracy and transparency. Provide accurate and up to date information and be transparent about your website's purpose and operations. Remember, EEAT is about building credibility and trustworthiness. Now, any of you remember what EEAT stands for? Go, Dar, it's your time. EEAT. EEAT stands for. You won't be able to fix the website without the platform guideline EEAT. Very good. Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Good job, Darlene and Justine. And Hashimi J. Experience, expertise. Very good. Great, guys. So EAT stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Now let's proceed to step 4. So while we're done with the corrective actions, let's talk about documentation and communication. So just like in relationship, communication is very important and documentation as well. So if a woman remembers the anniversary date and the man forgets, so it's gonna cause, you know what will happen. So you have to document it, guys. So the same also with SEO. So meticulous record keeping is essential throughout the recovery process. So document issues and actions. Keep a detailed log of the problems you identified. So if you found out there's a problem in the links, in the content, so you have to keep a detailed log of those issues. And then you also need to keep a detailed log of the specific steps you took to fix them and the dates when these actions were completed. This will be invaluable if you need to submit a reconsideration request. So, what's a reconsideration request? So, you can do it manual, a reconsideration request for manual. If you received a manual penalty, you'll need to submit a reconsideration request through Google Search Console. Be honest and transparent about the issues that led to the penalty. Clearly explain all the steps you have taken to rectify the problems and provide evidence of the improvements you have made. Remember, maintain a polite and professional tone. Think of this as building your case for recovery. So you have to be very polite if you're going to file a reconsideration request. And I don't think, does any one of you here experience submitting a reconsideration request? Type yes if you have submitted a reconsideration request before. Type yes if you have submitted a reconsideration request. If you have received a manual notification regarding a penalty, then you have to submit a reconsideration request once you have done all the steps necessary to correct the issue. So I think none of you, so you are not too familiar with the manual penalty. So most the common penalty is really the algorithmic type. Yes, okay, see, she has experience. So transparency and clear documentation is very important when you submit a reconsideration request. I'm sure Casey knows that one. And next is step 5, monitoring and patience. So this is not an overnight process. Recovery from an algorithmic penalty is not an overnight process. So you cannot recover if you have been penalized today, you cannot recover from that one tomorrow. You're already fine. It takes time for search engines to recrawl. So the search engine must recrawl and reevaluate your website after you have made changes. Don't get discouraged if you don't see immediate results. Wow, Darlene, I think we have never done that as our search early aligned with SEO best practices. Wow, great job. Good for you, Dar. And then continuously monitor your website's performance in both Google Analytics and Google Search Console. You have to track key metrics like your organic traffic, the keyword rankings, and overall impressions and click through rates. Next is be prepared to iterate on your recovery plan based on the data you are seeing. So you might need to make further adjustments or changes or address new issues that may arise while you're still recovering from the penalty. It's also important to stay informed about any further algorithm updates from search engines, as these can sometimes impact your recovery progress. So, the biggest hit, based on experience, the biggest hit of a search engine algorithm update is not the first update, it's the update that follows after that. So that's where the biggest hit lies. So you have to be updated on algorithm updates. So patience and consistent monitoring are key to seeing the fruits of your labor. Now that we already know the process to recovery, let's talk about prevention. So Darlene has not experienced recovery because she's very much aligned with the SEO best practices. So for future algorithm updates, so we have to prevent any penalties. So let's talk about prevention. This is for live audiences like Darlene and those that has not experienced any penalties of this one. So we have to prevent future penalties through best practices, just like Darlene mentioned, SEO best practices. So high quality user centric content. The best way to avoid penalties is to focus on creating truly valuable content for your audience. Aim to produce content that is informative, engaging, original, and directly addresses the needs and questions of your target users. Prioritize quality over simply publishing a large volume of content. So, quality over quantity. So, what's one thing you always keep in mind when creating new content to ensure it is valuable for your audience? Okay, share your tips in the comment, guys. What's one thing you always keep in mind when creating new content? Relevant. Yes, from Casey, relevant. So you have to consider relevancy of your content. How about the rest? Jesse, the same. Relevant topic to a client website, of course. That is very important. User intent first. Keywords second. Wow, Darlene is very knowledgeable. China, clear structure. Mitch, value. Yes, you have to provide value. From Justine, the user's intent based on search terms. Yes, that's right. If that search term is for information, so informational, so you have to provide the information for that. So it should be based on facts. Casey, SEO optimized, so your content must be SEO optimized. Thank you, guys. Now let's move on to the ethical and sustainable link building. So, for the link builders out there, avoid any shortcuts or black hat SEO tactics when it comes to building links. Focus on earning links naturally by creating high quality content. Again, content is here that other reputable websites will want to reference and link to. Engage in genuine outreach with others in your industry. Think of link building as earning citations based on the value you provide. So, based on Mark, creating content with love, yes. So, if you create something with love, then it becomes a good thing. Just like when you cook with love, it becomes delicious. So, so thank you, Mark. Now let's proceed to the prioritize user experience and work on technical SEO. So continuously work on making your website a pleasant and efficient experience for your visitors. So regularly test and improve your site's loading speed. So sometimes we are contented because before we have checked the website, oh, it's already running good. Speed is very fast, so I can open all the pages right away. But as time goes by, you add more content, more media files to it, then it slows down your website. So you have to regularly conduct testing. Ensure it is fully mobile responsive and make sure the navigation is intuitive and user friendly. Simultaneously, maintain a technically sound website that search engines can easily crawl and understand. So remember, a well functioning website benefits everyone. So just like I've mentioned earlier, it's a win win for you and for the user. Next is staying updated in order to prevent future penalties. The world of SEO is constantly changing. Search engine algorithms are updated frequently and guidelines can evolve. Make it a habit to stay informed about the latest algorithm updates and any changes to the webmaster guidelines from search engines like Google. Follow reputable SEO blogs, industry publications, and official announcements. Remember, staying informed is crucial for long term success and avoiding future pitfalls. So, what are your go to resources for staying up to date with the latest SEO news and algorithm changes? Share your favorite blogs or websites in the chat. So, what's your go to website when it comes to SEO news, algorithm changes, updates? So, what's the resources? Google Search Central Blog from Darling. Yes, we're the same. I also check Google Search Central Blog from time to time. What else, guys? There's also Search Engine Journal. Are you familiar with that? Okay, now let's go. Let's proceed with regular audits and maintenance. Proactive monitoring and regular website audits can help you identify and address potential issues before they escalate into a penalty. Schedule regular checks for content quality, broken links, technical errors, and user experience problems. This allows you to catch and fix minor issues before they become a major problem. Think of regular maintenance as preventative medicine for your website. So it's like vitamins to avoid penalties, so to avoid getting sick. So you need to drink vitamins. So that's audit and maintenance as well. So now this is it. It's time for Q&A. So all right everyone, we have covered a lot of ground today, right? We have covered the types of algorithm penalty, the causes, the how to recover, how to prevent. So let's see if you listened and absorbed the discussion. So first question. Hello to our live viewers. First, based on what we have discussed, what's the first action you're planning to take on your website to either recover from a penalty or prevent one in the future? So, what's the first action? Comment lang sa comment section. Feel free to comment, guys. From China, prioritize. How about the others? The other live viewers that we have. Okay, go ahead. What's the first action? From China, prioritize UX. How about our other viewers? Perform website audit for Justin identify and diagnose. Any other answers? Have laser-centric content. Okay, another identification and diagnosis. Okay, thank you so much. So we have two. Yeah. Yes, that's right, Miss Joy. Prevention always starts with awareness and action for the conduct. Yes. So the first and most critical step is to conduct a thorough audit of your entire website. So Jessie, Jed, Darlene, Rufy. Yes. Okay, so the first one who answered website audit is Jessie Rose. Wow. Very good. Okay, next question. Of all the common causes of penalties we discussed, so there are causes of penalties. Which one resonated with you the most and why? So the question why, that's always the difficult one to answer. Okay, which one and why? Hashemi and Mark said audit as well as Mitch. That's for the first question. Yes, you're right, guys. How about for our second question? Which one resonated with you the most on the common causes of penalties? As I've mentioned earlier, we have a surprise at the end. So keep the comments coming. Jesse is always the fast one. Unnatural or spammy backlinks. And for Darlene, low quality or duplicate content, because I realized that having clean or copied content not only hurts user experience but also increases the risk of yes, very good, because I said why. The cause of penalties resonated me the most. Wow, Sherilyn is like Miss Universe. The cause of penalties that resonated with me the most was duplicate content. It highlighted how important originality is in digital marketing. I realized that copying or reusing content, even unintentionally, can harm a website's credibility and ranking. Wow. Mark, spammy backlinks. I believe, okay, low quality for J, low quality. Miss Joy, duplicate content. It's important to create original, value driven content, not just for rankings, but for real user. Very good. Wow. Your answers are all right, guys. But the first one who answered the question, which one resonated and why, is Darlene. Thank you so much. Now the for question number 3. So you will listen to the webinar. Very good. Now question number 3. What's one key takeaway from today's session that you plan to implement immediately? What do you want? What is it that you want to implement immediately? You want to implement spammy backlinks? No. Rufi. That's the answer for the second question. User experience for me because I don't like too much ads. Haha. Okay, about for our third question. What's one key takeaway from today's session that you plan to implement in white hat SEO? So I haven't mentioned white hat. But yeah, these are all white hat strategies. Okay, I'm looking for an answer, a definite answer. How about the rest? We've talked a lot of things. We have covered a lot of strategies. So what is one thing that you want to implement immediately? EEAT. Now you don't have to conduct comprehensive website audit, Miss Darlene, because you haven't experienced getting hit yet. But for prevention, yes, you can do that. Very good. But for implementation, for Miss Gray, start auditing your website content to make sure it's aligned with Google's guidelines. For fake impervious pages has been marked by duplicated content. Okay, so pen screen make to stay safe, quality original. Yes, but the first one to answer and wants to implement it immediately is EEAT, Mark. So you have to implement that, especially on the content with YMYL topics. So, question number 4. If you could wave a magic wand, Char, magic, and choose him. No. If you could wave a magic wand and fix one potential penalty causing issue on your website or the one you're working on right now, what would it be? So it's a very simple question. What would it be? I don't know if Shina's answer is for the fourth question. Ah, yes, it is for the fourth. If you could wave a magic wand. Okay, so who's the first one to answer? Okay, so we have Mitch, E80, Casey, Web Speed, Shina removing all keyword stuffing to make the content natural, clear, and valuable for readers. Eliminating all spammy or toxic backlinks pointing to the site, according to Darlene. And for Jesse, spammy backlinks. And Miss Yeah, Rufia, Sherilyn, and Miss Joy, low quality or spammy backlinks. For sharing low quality or spammy backlinks, for Rufia, low quality content. So your answers are all correct, but I'm choosing low quality content because it is the most time consuming task. So if you have a magic wand, you just wave it and correct that issue to avoid consuming too much of your time on fixing them. So, Rufi, low quality content. For Mark, I don't have an answer, miss, but I do have a question. So, Mark is asking, is fixing one potential penalty just like fixing a just like fixing a broken heart. I know it's not for you, Mark, because you're not broken hearted. Maybe it's for Faye, Casey Faye, or for Justin, or I don't know. Is fixing one potentially just like fixing a broken heart? Um, I think, Mark, because if you have the correct data and why your heart is broken, what's the major cause, or what he doesn't want from you, or what you need to change, then you can fix it. So you can relate it. You can relate. The key here is to start with audit. So you have to find out the reasons first, and then conduct a strategic plan to fix it. So it's the same, Mark. It's always about love and heart for Mark. Now, question number 5. If you found this webinar valuable, what's one key insight you'll share with your team, your friends, or colleagues? The first one. Take note, Casey Faye. Okay. Conduct an audit first, Casey. Okay, so the first one to answer. If you found this webinar valuable, what's one key insight you'll share with your team, friends, or colleagues? Contact while visible. For Rufi, quality is everything. Yes, quality is everything. So, so Rufi's answer sums up everything in this webinar. Quality is everything. In terms of creating content, in terms of setting up your website, in terms of acquiring backlinks, quality is everything. You must prioritize quality over quantity. Very good, Rufi. For Miss Joy, importance of regularly auditing your website. Yes, that's right. Google rewards original, valuable, and user-focused content from Jesse. For Mark, YMYL. Miss Joy, wow, visible is the answer. Yes, indeed. That's why we have this webinar, because we are knowledgeable on how to recover and how to prevent penalties. Okay, so that's it. That's the end of our webinar. And as for the surprise, you may send your GCash number for those who answered correctly, and you may send it to the HR or to the page, so that we'll be able, or to me directly if you know my number, for you to be able to receive just a small amount for snacks. Again, thank you, Well Visible, for this opportunity to share my knowledge. And thank you all for your time and engagement today. So I hope this seminar has provided you with valuable insights and actionable steps to navigate the complexities of algorithm penalties and work towards a stronger, more resilient online presence. For our Miss Engagement in today's webinar, it goes to Miss Darlene De Horas. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Yes.